Alright guys, let's make this the opening to the next video, right? So I'm about to rip my transmission out and put an automatic in it. No, not really, but kind of, maybe, I don't know. So, driving last night, I lost my clutch line again, which has been an issue, and it is now really starting to upset me. And so I came back out this morning to try to fix it in the random unnamed parking lot that I'm in. And yeah, it's not working. So I did the next best thing, right? And get this switch around. So I came down. That is my clutch safety switch, and if you can tell, these where it's cut, right? So I spliced the two together because, like I said, nothing, right? So my clutch line won't go down, my clutch line won't stay connected, so my clutch pedal won't go down, so the clutch safety switch can't be engaged, which means that my truck doesn't know that I'm pushing the clutch down, right? So splice those two wires together. I am in neutral because yeah, things and stuff, and yeah. Right, so a couple of guys on the Bronco forums that I'm on kind of helped me out, and it's so for this, it's the blue and the red wires. They're the two on the back side, I guess, because so when it's connected, right, you've got this like this, right, and it connects in like this up there, right, up into this switch right here, right? So it's this red one with the blue stripe. Both of these, pull them off. I didn't do too deep, and I did pretty far up because I don't intend this to be a permanent solution. So I want to have room so I can come back in here and splice these back into the ones that they're supposed to go to, and then heat shrink them back down. So yeah, like I said, not supposed to be a permanent solution. So I'm gonna get this home, and it's a little bit sketchy. Last night I had to drive, let me turn this back around. Last night I had to drive with by like reaching up underneath of there and pulling the clutch safety switch up, so that the truck thought that the safety switch was engaged, and then start the key, right? So I had to pull the switch up with my right hand and turn the key with my left hand, which leaves my third hand, no hand, realistically, to steer, right? So that's a little bit sketchy, right? But it was 11 o'clock at night, not that many people on the road. So I got over here, parked, grabbed my wife's car, and then used it for the night. And so then I came back out this morning with my wife's car to drop it back off and get my truck home. And this is my plan. So what I'm gonna have to do is, when I back out, I'm going to have to leave my truck off, put it in reverse, and then start my truck with no clutch, back out while it's starting, because obviously engine's turning, transmission's turning, wheels are turning, right? Back out and then turn it off, put it in first gear, and then turn it on to start going, right? Once I start, I'm fine, just no clutch shift. Not the best for a transmission, especially one that has 231,000 miles in it, but in a pinch, right? I'm only like 10, 15 miles from home, so most of it's highway, so I'll stick it in fifth gear and just go, right? But yeah, I thought of a cool idea though. We're gonna turn this back around, right? So instead of having this, I'm going to take one of those covered toggleable switches. You know, it's got a little cover you flip up, and it's got the toggle switch underneath of it that you use for like sending nukes and stuff. And I'm just gonna attach, I'm gonna hook up my hazard wires for my hazard light up to that, so I, you know, when I break down again, it'll just seem like, you know, I'm shooting a rocket off, just boop, and then my flashers will come on. and fly. At least I'll feel a little bit cool. Yeah. So, man, 2020 just keeps on hitting, doesn't it? All right, let's get it back to the house. All right, guys, so after probably the second sketchiest drive, the first sketchiest being last night, we're back home, and I have her up on ramps, and we are going to try to get this connected. Now, I've thought of a couple of things that could be the issue. My main thing would be there's a C-shaped retaining clip that keeps that quick connect deal in the sleeve. So I'm going to pull that and see if it needs like crimp back down or something like that. Clean the quick connect, you know, stuff like that. Once I can get it reconnected, then we're gonna bypass that clutch safety switch, because it's pretty sketchy, and I'm not trying to do that. Now, one of the big things that I did see is that you need to open the bleed valve when you're putting the line in, which I was doing, because it's got to have room in there, because you're trying to push hydraulic fluid into, there's brake fluid, but fluid into an already pressurized system, right? Not gonna work. So we got to make sure that the bleed valve is opened and we get the clutch line into the slave cylinder. There is a false connection, it'll click, but as long as that plastic ring that's in there is still visible, it still has more room to go. So we got to make sure of that, which I think is also the main problem, which I think could be an issue with the C-clip, that retainer clip that's in there, right? So let's get under and check it out. All right, two things. My dog doesn't like thunderstorms, and there's some thunder rolling in, so you might hear her barking. So yeah, and then second off, there's a thunderstorm that might be rolling in, so if it's windy and raining, might have to call this or cut this short. But anyways, so now I did replace the master cylinder and the line back in November. I made a video, it was dumb, I didn't post it, right? So I really wish I did, because I had this issue and that's why I did that. But now I don't remember what specifically I did to fix it. So we are at a loss, right? So let's see if we can, so we open that bleed valve, it's up here. Use the 8mm wrench. You can see I got some brake fluid on my fingers because it's leaking out already, right? And then it'll start running down right on this right here most of the time. You'll get some buildup down here. You can see the line right here. It runs down a couple of different places, right? So let's see if we can get this in there. Which sometimes it can be a pain, but sometimes it just goes right in. This one looks like it's going to be a pain. There we go. See? So it clicked, but let's see if we can get up there with enough light, right? So you can see there's still, it's kind of grayish, but this right here is that plastic retaining pin. Sorry, my hands are a little shaky. So I still have a decent amount of length right here, right? So that tells me that it's not all the way in. So where were we? Yeah, that looks all right. All right, cool. So we may need to push it in some more, and this is why we opened this bleed valve up here. It's because when you're pushing, like I said, it may not want to do it. All right, so that's not working. So what I may do, what I've thought about doing, what I'm probably going to do, if this doesn't stay, if that's not a solid connection, I'm going to pull this back out and I'll pull the C-clip. I can feel there's a open end on this end, so I'll pull it from the top. You can pull it from the top or the bottom depending on which side it's clipped on, obviously, right? Because it's open on one end, right? So we'll pull that out, we'll check it, we'll check the end of this, we'll make sure that it's clean, and if it is, then yeah, I don't know. Let me push the clutch and we'll see if this moves. Ah! Alright, sorry, the camera fell. Alright, that's it. Right, so 2 things wrong with that. I'm sure you saw one of, I didn't close the bleed valve, so it squirted fluid everywhere. But second, obviously this did not last, right? So we take a look here. There's some wear on the top of this, so that could be an issue, but it doesn't seem like it's worn down any deeper than the rest of it, right? So this is that quick connect. This is where it goes into there, and it's got a deal in there. So let's see if we can pop this retainer clip off, if I can do it with my hands. If not, a flat blade screwdriver on the end. Normally you can get a small one in there and pop that. Let's go ahead and actually shut this off real quick. We'll just remember to open it in a second. Alright guys, so here's that retainer clip, and let's see if we can. It doesn't look bad, but what we can do, hey, and I found out this thing rotates, right? So I had it turned up and it ran into this lip here. Just turn it and you can pull it out this way, right? So, and there's the wind. All right, cool. Just trying to squeeze that down a little bit. We may need to replace this. The good thing about 2020 is we really only need one vehicle at a time. And if I can't get this up, then I can just drive my wife's car, right? So if we need to order a new retainer pin or retainer clip, whatever, we can do that. Now, you know what? Let me try something. I want to try to put this in without the clip in, and we need to open this first, right? So open that up. Right, so it pushes in, doesn't stay, right? Because obviously, but there's still a decent amount of that O-ring showing. I feel like it may be less than before. So why don't we try something new? Let's try this. We're gonna put the clip kind of up there. We're gonna push the line until it is all the way in. Where's my rag? Here it is. Alright, so the line gets covered with fluid sometimes. I may just have to clean it off a little bit. Use the rag. And we'll push this retainer pin right over the top of it. And the result of that is that, right? So that didn't quite work. Let's just give it a good push now. See, that's still, I have like the whole, oh well, it kind of came up, but yeah, so that's obviously not in, right? Now another thing that could be an issue is this O-ring has dried out from coming out so many times, right? Alright, well, with that, let's try the pedal and see what happens, right? Right, and voila, it's staying. I'll tell you that I'm not going to drive a far distance for now, but you know what? I'll take that. It's a little win. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to go back in, and I'll show you exactly where I spliced these wires. Hold on. Alright guys, so confession time. In the short time it took for me to get from underneath my truck to in the seat, I kind of changed my mind, right? So being a realist, I recognize that this issue may persist, right? So if it does, and I have the same problem later, before I can find an actual permanent solution, right? I might be stranded, right? And then I'd have to unheat shrink tubes and yada yada. And so I don't want to do that. Therefore, I'm gonna leave it spliced, but still be a good person and still use my clutch and actually push it in, because I don't want to be that idiot who forgets that his truck's in gear and goes through my garage or something, right? So with that in mind, I will still show you the splice, right? So rocking my Crocs, right? Little Betty Boop. All right, so look, I took this. Now this had the wire loom all the way down to here. You can see it on these ones, right? All the way down to there. Wire loom was all the way over. So I didn't want to cut down here because that doesn't give me much room to splice back into these for, you know, my permanent solution of putting these all back together, right? So I cut the wire loom up quite a ways, pulled some wire out, and then cut them up there, right? So now when I get it all done, I can just untwist these wires, strip these wires, and heat shrink each one of these wires to the wire that it goes to, right? And then I won't have to worry about not having a clutch safety switch because I'll have it all connected again, right? But like I said, I did them pretty far up just so that way I had room to play. You never want to cut your wires like down here because then you can't splice back into it. You have to buy a whole new one of these and then rewire the whole thing, right? So I didn't want to do that, so that's how I did it. And as you can see, they're like kind of sort of put together. You could put like one of those end caps on it, or you could heat shrink. I might throw a piece of heat shrink over it and heat shrink these two together just to make sure that I don't have an issue later. So yeah, that's how you would do that. And then remember, don't leave exposed wires, mostly for like safety issues, because that could start fires and stuff. I don't know. I looked at an electrical diagram and about had a damn stroke. So I don't know how to read those things. So I don't know if it constantly has power, if it only has power sometimes, right? So I'm gonna throw a piece of, like a short piece of heat shrink over it, cover it up just to make sure that it doesn't do anything bad. But I think that's where we're gonna end it today, mostly because of the weather and the dog, and it's mostly kind of fixed. Like I said, I'm not driving it anywhere lengthy. I worked like 3 minutes from my house, so I'll do those drives for a little bit and make sure that it actually stays in there and doesn't have a problem. But yeah, I'll let you know. And by the way, I am serious enough about that toggle switch that's covered, that I was looking them up. Dude, they're only like 10 bucks. I found one for like $8.50 on Amazon. I'm gonna do it, and hopefully I do it soon. But again, wiring diagrams, don't really understand them, so we'll have to figure out how to do that. And it's going right here on the dash. This thing is coming out. I don't know what this is for. It doesn't twist, it doesn't pull, it doesn't do anything. It's gonna go right here, and then I can just, that I can still feel kind of cool when my truck breaks down, right? So all right, well, that's it, and thanks for watching.